Hi, I'm Amy McLean, editorial director of CFX, and I'm here today with my colleagues Noah Ziegler and John Saavedra. We're taking a break, right, guys? We've been plugging away at the Cable Facts 100 magazine, making our last edits, getting ready to send it off to the printer. It's like sitting right here. I want to show it to you so badly, but I think I might get in trouble if I do, so I can't. But it's right here. I'm excited, really excited for folks to see it. There's some pretty big changes in the look. So little teaser there. It releases on April 23rd. You can see it online. And there will also be actual print copies you can hold in your hands, sign it for people. Those will be distributed at the Cable Hall of Fame on April 23rd. So
Fun. I think I heard it somewhere that we have an inductee to the Cable Hall of Fame on this call. Can anyone confirm?
John.
Yeah, it must be John. You're the podcast.
John.
Yeah. My whole for my whole year at CFX, my 1 year.
You really blew
being
everyone's socks
inducted.
off.
Yeah. Again, congratulations to Amy, who's being inducted into this year's Cable Hall of Fame.
Thanks.
Noah and I will be in attendance. We're very excited. So congratulations to you again, Amy.
I'm excited. I'm really thankful you guys are going to be there, and we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna let our hair down and no cameras, no CFX download cameras. So
off the record.
Oh, I was gonna record so much vertical video.
Oh, you just teased what we're going to talk about. Well, as John said, there's been a lot of vertical news. And I have to just say for a minute, it kind of cracks me up because I'm of an age that I can remember when YouTube was kind of just becoming a thing and when smartphones were just becoming a thing. And, people would be out and about and see something exciting or be at a concert. And they're just so used to holding their phones like this. That's how they would record. It would appear on YouTube and there'd be all these comments saying, turn your phone, right? Complaining. But nowadays, vertical is in. Vertical is hot, right? And we're seeing even traditional players encourage, or at least offer vertical, right? And there's been some big news this week on that front, right, Noah?
Yes, yesterday Fubo announced that they updated their iOS and Android mobile apps. The quote they used was recognizing that sports fans they're not always home. They're sometimes on the go. If you're on the metro on the way home, the Nationals are playing, the Orioles are playing. You might have to use your phone instead of logging onto your TV or whatnot. But they added some updates to their mobile apps. Their team channels feature, which lets users DVR coverage of games, programming related to the team, etc. It's been upgraded. So now they use, again, Fubo using proprietary AI to create team-based playlists of, what they call bite-sized game coverage and news. So it just has the highlights of, let's say it's bottom of the ninth inning and someone hits a walk-off home run. That's going to appear on that playlist. And then for team channels as well, in the coming weeks, it's going to add that vertical mobile experience as well. So again, focusing on that vertical, and John, I think you've mentioned it before as well. This is one of the first examples of a distributor being so focused on the idea of vertical. You said you didn't find anything, correct?
Yeah, I've been covering vertical video for a little bit and been testing apps for several distributors. So I've gotten into, the DirecTV app, the Spectrum TV app, Xfinity Stream. None of them, as far as I could tell, emphasize vertical video or have vertical video options. So that was really notable to me, the fact that Fubo is offering this product now and really planting the flag like, hey, we have vertical. It'll make the live sports viewing experience. That sort of makes sense because I think there is that sort of view of it as a sports centric distributor. It also makes sense because they're under the Disney umbrella, right? And they're all in on vertical video, as we've seen with ESPN Plus and now Disney Plus. I think it makes sense from that perspective. And I know, Noah, you have been testing ESPN verts as I have, but I would love to hear what your experience has been on that front, especially with something like SportsCenter for you.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those features that it's interesting to use, and I won't lie. The first time I used it, I was very curious, if the experience was similar. I think everything, when you think of vertical video and the idea of scrolling through vertical video, I think everyone compares it to TikTok. And I think that's just, the natural comparison to, for any of these features, no matter what app it is. And, initially I thought the experience was, quite pleasant. And I thought the goal that they're trying to accomplish was pretty straightforward. And they were able to do that. They're using, I mean, again, they talk about AI, but they're using AI to create personalized, you know, playlists, as we just talked about with Fubo. These personalized playlists that show up in your app. You're able to scroll through, see highlights. I'm able to see what the Washington Commanders are potentially going to do, in the upcoming NFL draft. I'm able to see how the Wizards did last night. Shocker, they lost. They cut up Masters highlights, I believe. It definitely accomplishes the goal, and I think it is very useful for someone who they're not able to pay attention to everything if they're on the go. Again, using the example of being on the metro, it is a very quick and easy way to figure out, okay, here's how my teams did. Here's some, other news and happenings in the league, leagues that I follow, what's going on. It definitely accomplishes the goal they've, set out for. And I think they deserve some credit there.
I was just going to ask, I'm curious, you mentioned TikTok, and one of the beauties that everyone would love to copy is the addictive. Like once you start, you just kind of, have you found that at all when you're playing with some of these?
John, I don't know if you have. I feel like I haven't yet, but that's, again, maybe it's because I naturally am like, I don't know. Actually, that's an interesting question, because with sports, I feel like there is a point where I'm like, okay, I can move on to something else. But as everyone knows with TikTok, the idea of doom scrolling, it's pretty easy, and hand up, not afraid to admit it. It happens to the best of us. But John, what do you think?
I was at a sports conference a couple weeks ago, and to your point on AI, ESPN and Fox One were there talking about how much they're using AI to generate those clips and personalize. Personalization is very important to this experience. To your question, Amy, on getting people hooked on it, I think it's like the more intimate it feels, the more it's speaking to the specific user. I think that's how they're hoping that people will stay and keep scrolling and scrolling. Now, my own personal experience, when I logged into the ESPN app, you get to pick which teams you like, which leagues you follow. But I got served a lot of clips about the Knicks, and I don't actually care that much about the Knicks or basketball. I just picked a team from each league just so that I could get the full experience. So me personally, I wasn't hooked because I was like, I don't really care. But in terms of the Sports Center for You experience in general, like the fact that they're generating the voices of their on-air talent, and that it feels like they're speaking to you, can sort of tell a little bit that it's still AI generated, that it's not a 100% human speaking to you and delivering. But the fact that it's at the level it's at now, we were talking about this earlier, Noah, like how it's going to be in a year from now or 2 years from now is going to be really interesting to see. And then on the point of personalization, back to what we were talking about with Fubo and it being like the main MVPD that I've seen doing this. Someone else who does like hardcore personalization and is really focused on that is DirecTV on the sports side and letting you pick your favorite shows and your favorite sports teams and your favorite leagues. So DirecTV, maybe you should look at that. I don't know. And if you do it, pay me $1 million because I just gave you the idea. But I think that it would make sense for them because it's sort of the same sort of personalization experience when you first launch the app. So it'll be really interesting to see how this sort of evolves across not just the programmers, but also the distributors.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, in my personal experience with SportsCenter for You and the Verts, I'm a pretty avid, John, I know you are too. I'm an avid sports fan. So if I consistently used it, I feel like I pay attention to the news. So there would be, I feel like, more things that pop up that go, okay, I've already seen this. So I guess there is that sort of risk of, if you have the ESPN app, they do send out, if Pete Thamel, their college football writer, tweets something, they'll send out a push alert for that. So, if that shows up on the Verts, it might go into a little bit more details, but I do feel like there might be some overlap between, someone, if you're an avid sports fan, you're reading up on news, you're seeing these updates as they happen, and then seeing them kind of again. I do wonder how much of overlap that is, but that comes with that personalization though.
Yeah, to ESPN's defense on the Knicks thing, like Premier League is back this week, so I'll hopefully get some more soccer centric I won't be looking. If Everton loses this weekend to Brentford, I won't be looking. But if they win, I'll probably go back to relive the glory of hopefully moving up the table. So that'll be interesting. I will say that I also tried Fox One, and they have a version of Shorts. They don't have the AI generated experience of SportsCenter for you specifically, but they do serve you highlights and clips based on your preferences in the leagues that you like. I should mention also that like this is like the basis for all of these vertical experiences are those clips and those highlights, including on Peacock, which we should probably mention. During Legendary February, they launched for the Olympics Ringside Live, which were vertical altcasts of the figure skating and the hockey competitions. So they had things like bench cam for hockey, so you could see how the players sitting in the bench on each side of the game were reacting to events. And then you also had coaching cam and training cam for the figure skating. And then for the NBA All-Star game, they launched also that bench cam, and then something called Star Spotlight, which basically emphasizes a specific player on the court who's, I guess, doing phenomenally well or standing out the most. And they cut sort of a curated playlist on that player. They launched that specifically for NBA All-Star game, but they've now unveiled it as a full product offering on Peacock that you can get for any of their NBA games. And obviously, NBA being back on NBC Universal platforms is a big deal. So it makes a lot of sense that they're launching sort of that vertical video. But it's not the only way that they're using vertical. Obviously, they're going to have the Bravoverse, which right now you can get highlights and clips of the different reality programming on Bravo. So my beloved Below Deck, watched some highlights of that this week. There's a lot of drama going on with the chef. Let me just tell you, if you don't watch Below Deck,
It's always the chef.
they're always the worst. Yeah. So it's quite spicy right now. And then they're also going to launch, and this is very different because SportsCenter for You has sort of the AI generated voices, and Fox One is also experimenting with the AI generated voices for their on-air talent. Bravoverse is going to have an AI avatar of Bravo host Andy Cohen, which I did not encounter him during my while navigating the
That you
highlights on
know of.
Peacock
You didn't.
that I
That
know
you
of.
knew of.
He's probably watching, yes. But he's going to guide you through different storylines. So again, if you don't have time to get into Summer House or Below Deck or Top Chef or the myriad of other reality shows that they have, you'll have Andy Cohen to quickly take you through the storylines. And all those clips are being AI generated, and the storytelling is AI generated. So again, huge emphasis on how AI can scale this really quickly, but also curate very specifically. And it's very early days. I will say that no service was perfect in the ones that I tested, but it is impressive at launch how well they work at all. So it'll be interesting to see again what the evolution is in 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, as someone whose Instagram Reels feed is mainly puppies, I'm really looking forward to a puppy bowl vert so I can like get right in onto certain dogs. So hope that's coming. Animal Planet / Warner Brothers Discovery. But seriously, this is a lot, and we just kind of focused on the sports, but there's a ton of other vertical stuff happening, including with micronovellas, and do we run the risk of oversaturation of this? I mean, does it even have legs, and everyone's trying to do it anyways?
Coming from the gaming world where everyone is so set on their specific platforms and ecosystems, and these DTC services and distributors are all platforms. We should all be thinking of them that way. Once you've invested a certain amount of time, whether it's weeks or months or years, and probably invested money into those platforms, people don't tend to leave those ecosystems. Like if Amy, your kids, they're on TikTok, they have this sort of perfected algorithm based on what they watch and what they scroll to and what they engage with. That's already personalized for them. So getting them to leave TikTok to now go to these other experiences, I'll be very curious about that. Like the one interesting use case I saw was on Disney Plus, where they also added verts. I got served the Star Wars clip, big Star Wars fan. I got served a clip from episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and there is an option to click into the full movie. So like as a marketing tool, I think it's kind of an interesting use case, but whether people are going to just watch the native vertical video, again, there's just so many platforms. There's so much vertical, so little time, which is what I'm going to call this episode. It just feels like there's a lot and not enough time to watch all of this stuff. And again, same thing that gaming goes through. Too many games, not enough players, not enough time to play all this stuff.
But maybe that's
I don't know
the
about
thing.
you. Yeah.
Maybe you can live on all, like you created it, but you stick it on TikTok and you use it as a marketing tool. Because I know my kids, I've heard them in the backseat making fun of some of this. Just FYI, guys, they're of that age, teenage, college age, and they think it's kind of funny that they call it chasing TikTok.
Mm.
But what is it chasing TikTok, or is it just, another simple feature that they can add that's, okay, hey, let's put, everyone talks about how much they're using AI. Let's put it to work. Let's, have this feature just as an excuse. I mean, just as another feature to have, rather than, trying to pull away from a TikTok. For example, people talk about not being able to find content. They're just scrolling through, whatever app they're in. They can't decide what movie to choose. They just think, okay, let me just go to the verts, the TikTok version, or the shorts, whatever you want to call it, of an app, and then maybe that inspires something, or it's just another excuse to pass by the time. But I wonder how much of it is just having the feature to say they have the feature, as you guys have already talked about, or are they actually trying to pull engagement? But it might just be another excuse to try to keep everyone within their own boundaries of the app, and bump up the engagement numbers that they can talk about in various press releases.
Yeah. Well, one thing is for certain, CFX will continue to follow the vertical revolution. And remember, you can watch all our vertical videos, because we're definitely taking part in it too. As well as
I should have reviewed our vertical video,
yeah,
but I did not.
Shorts,
It's perfect. It's beautiful. Go watch it. It's on YouTube.
Sorry,
yeah.
But yeah, you can watch all of our full episodes of the podcast at YouTube, or listen at Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And you can always find all our coverage at cablefax.com. So until next time.